Hi guys, my name is Uzama Ntungwa Khumalo. I am a young professional who's really just on a journey of finding my purpose, finding and living my purpose. And through my platform, I hope to inspire and impart as much knowledge as I can. During the week on my page, I asked if anyone had any career related questions or needed any advice, and through this video I hope to answer your questions. Please do note, disclaimer, I am not a career expert, and all my responses are based purely on my experiences. To kick things off, one of the first questions I got was, where did you study and what university would you say is the best to study at? Just to give a bit of background, I studied a BCom accounting degree, which I did at the University of KwaZulu-Natal Pietermaritzburg campus. And then after that, I had the opportunity through Tutuga Bursary Fund and Kaya Sitole to study a BCom honors degree at the University of Johannesburg. Now, to answer your question of which is the best university to study at, that is a very personal question, so it's based mainly on your personal preference and what you want out of an institution. But what I would recommend is you doing your thorough research, especially not just on the institution but also in the program that you want to enroll for. So you want to find out things such as the cost of that course, the duration of that course, because I know it may vary depending on the institution that you're at, whether it's a 4-year degree, whether it's a 3-year degree. You also want to find out the stats in terms of the pass rates, also the general support that's available for the course that you want to study. I mean, are there bursary opportunities? Personally, I would always recommend the University of Johannesburg, even though I only joined in my postgraduate here, but the level of support and the level of structure within their accounting program is impeccable. I was in the pits and they helped me, they supported me, and the program is so well structured. The lecturers are amazing, the tutoring system is amazing. So I would definitely vouch for a UJ accounting program. So, did I know that I always wanted to go to an audit firm, or fate just happened? I think for me, through varsity and high school, well, the earlier years of varsity and high school, the big 4 audit firms is all you're ever fed, that's all you're ever exposed to, and that's all you actually ever aspire to want to be a part of. So, naturally for me, going into varsity, I wanted to be signed with an audit firm. And really that just became my reality. I made sure that I made sure I kept good grades in order to secure a training contract whilst I was still in varsity. So yeah, once I'd signed my articles training contract in varsity, I never thought of being anywhere else. Rude challenges and good stuff going forth in becoming a CASA. So basically, what my journey has been like, the good stuff, the bad stuff that I've encountered. And I think this question also ties in with another question: what challenges did I face in becoming a chartered accountant? So I get this question quite a lot, and it's very important to understand that everyone's journey, everyone's experiences are different, and our journeys are driven a lot by our circumstances. So I was very fortunate enough, in the sense that going into varsity, I never had to worry about my fees being paid. I never had to worry about res. I never had to worry about textbooks, which going into a course is already a big struggle that a lot of people are taking into it, and that adds a lot more stress and that adds a lot more pressure to abantu abaningi. So I was very fortunate enough that throughout my varsity career, I never had to worry about ezinye. I never had external worries other than waking up, going to school, studying, and making sure that I pass and I get good grades. And throughout my undergraduate, I got experience. I loved studying. I dedicated myself to my studies. I was always in the library. I was always studying. I was that student. I was a nerd. But because I had a vision and I knew what I wanted, and I didn't allow myself to get distracted by izinto that were happening around me, and which is not always easy, for a lot of us, but it just comes with a discipline and being motivated and knowing what drives you. So yeah, academically I was quite strong. I went through my undergraduate degree having never failed a module. I don't think I'd ever failed a test as well. But then that also comes with the fact that ngangi misela, like I was dedicated to the course, I was dedicated to the books, and nje ngasiyona le ntombazane eba distracted ehamba impampa everywhere. And when I moved to UJ to do my postgraduate degree, I got the shock of my life. Yes, even still thinking about it gives me like goosebumps. So when I got to UJ, first round of tests, my first test that I got back, I think it was tax, and I got 16%. I was devastated. I was completely distraught and I couldn't understand how. I thought I was smart. I thought I could do this. Zama, you've never failed before. What is happening to you? And for me, it was such a struggle. More than academically, it was also a mental struggle, having to accept the fact that you were doing so well and you were passing and you thought you were smart. I mean, I thought I was smart. So when I got to UJ and I was failing so dismally, it really took a knock on my confidence. It really got me questioning, Guguti, am I really capable of doing this? Am I really capable of passing this? Is this thing even for me? And I went through a really tough time. So yeah, my time at UJ really built character. It really forced me to take a step back and to question myself, Guti, do I really want this? Do I really want to do this? I was going through the worst time. I was failing. I didn't think that this was for me anymore. And I lost that passion. I lost that thing that I had, because now suddenly I was in a corner. Suddenly I wasn't doing well. Actually, not that I wasn't doing well, I was failing. I remember it was around about September. We just done our round 3 of tests, and still I was failing. DP was like nowhere to be seen, and I was like, no, maybe I was just reaching. Maybe this is not really for me, and maybe I needed to go through this experience for me to actually discover, Guti, this is not exactly what I wanted to do. But I remember having a conversation with one of my neighbors, and she said to me that right now, when you feel like you're giving up and you feel like, you know what, this is actually not for me, that is when you fight for your dream, and that is when you fight for it now more than ever. And you need to realize that going through this degree, especially when you're in CTA, it's really just a mental game, because you have the technical capabilities, you have the knowledge, but then it just comes with finding it within you to fight all these voices and these demons that are telling you that you're not capable of doing it. And even if it means you have to repeat it, it's fine, just as long as you know that you're passionate about it. And sometimes you just need to let your passion drive you, and you must just keep fighting. Fight. It's a mental game. And the moment I realized that, it's almost as if miracles happened. I still think about my time at UJ, and really, miracles really did happen. When I eventually wrote my final exams, I walked into my exams, and this is a testimony I always share to people that know me really well. I walked into my final exams with, I barely made 40% DP on my modules. And I wrote my exams, and we're waiting for results. I'd already decided, okay, it's fine. I'm coming back next year. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to give it another shot. Got my results back. I passed. I got my results back, and I was like, yes, girl. I remember I passed 3 modules, barely passed, by the grace of God, passed 3 modules, and I got 1 sub for tax. And I have never been so grateful. I have never been so thankful in Pilonia to write a sub. You know, I was like, my word, God is giving me another chance. And yeah, that was the first time in my life I'd ever failed a module, and I wrote a sub for it. I remember fasting days before I wrote the sub, went in, smashed that shit. And you know what they say, the rest is history. But yeah, I do think the time when you're still studying, you go through a lot of challenges, and you need to constantly keep reminding yourself, Uguti, why am I even doing this, and why do I even want this? And your academic struggle is like half your battle won, because I mean, now you've got your degrees, you've passed your board 1, you've passed your board 2, but there's still also the struggle of getting your competencies. So there's certain technical and professional competencies that you need to get signed off on in order to be a well-rounded CA. And that's basically the process of articles, where you get exposure to various industries, exposure to various clients, and you get assigned different tasks. And through your tasks and through the work that you do on a day-to-day, your managers assess you and they rate you on whether you're capable or you're competent, or or whether you are competent enough in order to perform certain tasks. So nakona, during your articles, you're still training, you're still being groomed into becoming a C. But just to summarize, I definitely say the main struggles that one is going to experience in their journey is the academic struggle. Your honors year, you know, every time people ask me about CTA, yeah, but there are definitely a lot of platforms, there are a lot of programs. I know Novalo Learning Center is one of the programs that are available to provide support. Board exams are a struggle. Board exams are definitely a struggle, but they are doable, thousands before and thousands after. And we are availing ourselves, and we are more than willing to help. We're more than willing to provide and give access to resources that we are. Another question was, how was your articles experience at PwC? I signed with PwC today. First and foremost, congratulations. You have made a great choice. So I did my articles at the Durban office, and I had a very well-rounded articles experience. I had the opportunity to work on listed clients, which was very good for my exposure and for my growth and my development as well. And being in a much smaller office, you obviously do get a lot more opportunity to get involved in a lot more tasks. And one of the things that I really did appreciate during my articles was the amount of effort and dedication that the firm actually puts into your development and into your growth. I mean, they have so much of training that's available for us. They really do dedicate a lot of their resources to ensuring that they produce well-rounded CAs. And my 3 years are literally my years where I learned as much as I could. I made sure that with every challenge, with every experience that was put before me, I really used it as a learning curve. And I was also fortunate enough to stay on as a manager in the Johannesburg office in financial services. And it just goes to show how broad, and that there's always room for you to grow, and there's always a space for you to find what it is that you're passionate about. And yeah, the firm will make a plan, it'll make a way for you. And also throughout my articles, the firm gave me an opportunity to be a part of what I was passionate about. I was really passionate about recruitment. I was passionate about inspiring and motivating. So they gave me the opportunity to do school visits there, to do your university visits. I had the opportunity to grace their websites, to share my story. And the fact that I had a voice and they listened to my voice is one of the things that I truly appreciated about my time and my experience at PwC. Deciding what firm you want to do your articles at is a very personal choice that I encourage you to do your research. I mean, you need to make sure that the firm's culture, the firm's stance on certain issues is aligned with you and who you are as a person. So do your research, ask around, do your vacation work, apply for VAC work programs. I know a lot of firms have VAC work programs for people who are in varsity, and then we also have job shadowing for those that are in like grade 11 and matric. So really do invest your time in doing your research and really finding out whether the firm that you think is for you really suits who you are and your personality. And I made a great match with PwC, and I am forever grateful for my experience. Another question was, how do you get selected for secondment? What's the criteria in order to get selected for a secondment, and is it mandatory for all CAs to go on a secondment? So the answer to that actually varies based on the different firms. So different firms will have different criteria on how they decide who they send on secondment. But just to give a bit of general background, secondment is very much on a demand and supply base. So our international offices will be going through their busy season, and they'll obviously have a demand for extra resources, and then they will approach offices like the South African office and say, hey, we're going through a busy season, do you have trainees that are available to come through for a secondment? And then the South African office will say, hey, yeah, we actually do, but obviously there's certain criteria that we have in place in order for you to qualify to go on a secondment. And generally, most of the time, it will be based on your performance rating. I know at PwC, we have a tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 rating. And if you generally fall between the 1 and 2 rating, you're most likely to go on a secondment. But that is not set in stone. From what I've seen, from what I've experienced, it does differ, and it does go according to your circumstance. And another thing that I really do encourage is being vocal with your intentions in terms of a secondment. So speak to your coaching managers, your coaching partners, and really make it known that a secondment is something that you want at the end of your articles. What do you need to do in order to qualify for a secondment? What do my ratings need to look like? If my ratings aren't so great, let's work out a plan, let's see, let's discuss. So it really is also a conversation, and just making your intentions known and knowing exactly what you need to do in order to work towards getting it. I think the question also asked if it's mandatory for all CAs to go on a secondment. No, it's not. You could get offered a secondment and you could choose to decline it, or you could also decide to go on a long-term secondment where you decide to move to another country permanently. And there's also short-term secondments, which I did, which was a 6-month program, and it really just is about getting you exposure and experience and really just living. Taxation or auditing, and why? I personally have a hate relationship with tax. I do not like tax. But it really just depends on you and what you want. If you want to do your tax articles, you're basically saying that you want to eventually become a tax specialist, and that's just one field in finance that you're going to be like a specialist in. Whereas going into auditing, you get the opportunity to do a bit of tax, but you also get the opportunity to do a whole host of other things. And then at the end of your articles, you can actually decide that the bit of time that I spent in the tax department, or the bit of time that I did tax work, I really enjoyed that and I want to pursue that further. So personally, I would always encourage you to go with the auditing route, because then you get a holistic feel of everything, and then at the end you can actually decide that, hey, this is actually what I want to specialize in. But that's really up to you. I know a friend who did tax articles. I know a friend who's doing tax masters, so I can put you into contact with those people and you can chat to them further. Any advice for new graduates? I would definitely say that no job is ever beneath you. I've studied for so many years. I mean, I've got a degree, I've got an honors degree, they can't expect me to do this. No. In as much as it's important, Uguti, you're not getting exploited, but take any and every opportunity that comes before you to learn. And I know opportunities don't come by very easily, but okufikayo ungakubukeli phansi and say, I can't do this. I mean, I studied X, Y, and Z. I mean, you can't expect me to do this. We all have to start somewhere, and we all need to appreciate the struggles that come with our journey. I mean, straight out of varsity, you're not going to get that corner office that you've been dreaming about. You literally need to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty and work for the future that you want. How do you prevent your job from taking over your life? Phew, that's a tough one. That's a really, really tough one. I mean, I struggled a lot with work-life balance, especially last year. And there's no formula to it. It's really about making sure that you set your foot down and you set your boundaries. And I actually want to share an analogy that one of my colleagues once tried to explain this whole work-life balance situation to me. I felt so overwhelmed, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm putting so much of myself into my work that I feel like I'm letting go of myself. I'm not spending enough time with my family, with my friends, and like I just feel like I have no control over my life. And he said to me, always look at this in two ways. On your left, you have a glass ball, and on your right, you have got a stress ball. And your stress ball is your work. It's all the stress that you carry, the deadlines, and everything else that comes with umsebenzi. And this glass ball is your life, it's your health, and it's your family. If you drop the stress ball is going to bounce back, and it's just going to carry on functioning as intended. If you drop the glass ball, that's it. And there's no going back. There's no going back from it. You can try and put the pieces together, but the cracks will always be there. And that for me is how you must always look at things. You must always analyze whatever situation that you're feeling as if, no man, I need to put work first. Always make that analogy and that comparison, and just, it's tough, I won't lie. It's definitely something I struggled with, and I made the decision to choose myself. I resigned, and yeah, but it's not an easy journey. It's not an easy decision to make, but yeah, you just got to put yourself first. So this question is, does being a CASA pay that much? And what about articles? How much is it? Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I was sold a dream, but I've come to realize that having the title CASA doesn't automatically equate having money. I think it comes with having the title and then knowing what to do with the title, knowing which industries to get into, knowing which jobs or roles to get into in order to start generating the big money. But it's not a matter of you finish your studies, you qualify, and then boom, bam, you're rolling in the money. No, it's a journey. It comes with time, and it comes with experience. And to answer your question, articles, it's market related. It depends on the firm that you're at, but I can say that the money that you make during articles is enough for you to get a place to stay. It's enough for you to get a car. It's enough for you to maintain a decent lifestyle. Figures, yeah, maybe I can chat to you privately. And together with that question was, is it worth it being a CA? I find myself asking that question, is it really worth it? But it really depends on what you do with it and how you make it work for you. That's what will make it worth it. You can have the title and you can just settle for any dead-end job, and you can just be okay with it. So the title definitely opens a lot of opportunities for you. I mean, being a CASA carries so much credibility, and in terms of being out there in the market, being a CA will get you a foot in the door, and it really is up to you and what you make of it in order to progress any further. So So far, I would say everything that I went through, it's been worth it, and I'm really excited to see what more it can do. I'm stuck between the big four or a medium-sized firm. Personally, I would recommend going with the big four firm. There's a lot more opportunity for growth, for exposure, and yeah, just based purely on my experiences, I would go with the big four firm. Do I have any tips for preparing for an APC mock exam? So APC is your second board exam. Generally how it works is you get given a scenario and you get a period of 5 days in order for you to prepare, do your research, work in teams in order to prepare for that exam. So you put together a file and you walk into your test or your exam with that file, and you're able to answer the questions depending on whatever new information they give you on the day. Any tips for you to prepare? One thing that I learned and one thing I will encourage you is to have a stance on each of the triggers. One thing that I really do encourage is to have a stance on each of the issues that are discussed. Try and avoid allowing yourself to be clouded by everyone else around you's judgments, because when you do preparing for APC, you're working with a lot of people, so you're obviously sharing a lot of ideas, which is great. But what's important is that at the end of the day, you know exactly where you stand and your stance on each of the issues or the triggers that are being triggered in your question paper. I know one of the things that I struggled with was the fact that I found myself so bombarded with everybody's opinion. Everybody thinks this is how it should be treated, this is how it shouldn't be treated, that I found myself just swaying with whoever was more convincing, until I realized, no, kubalulekile ukuthi you know exactly, this is what I think it is, this is how I feel it is, even if it's wrong, but I know how to justify it and I know how to motivate it. And that's really what's important in APC. They just want to see that you understand the concept and you're able to motivate why you think the way it should be treated is the correct way. I know that Novalo Learning Center did a whole tutorial on APC and ITC tutorial, so I will post details of that YouTube page and how you can actually access a proper and detailed video in preparing for your board exams. How do you keep a consistent work ethic? Is to constantly remind yourself that you're not doing it for anyone else, but you're doing it for yourself. When you work and you're giving your all, don't do it just to prove a point to someone else, but do it because you are investing in yourself and you're investing in your growth, and you know that is for your own good and you're bettering yourself. I am an accounting student, but not a BCom accounting student. Can this still work? Yes, it can still work. So if you just have an accounting degree, you can apply for a BCTA, which is like a bridging course, in order to get into your accounting honors. So you spend a full year basically doing your third year accounting modules, and passing that will qualify you to get into honors, and then you can proceed with your CA journey. So a bit of background on this question, someone who's currently working in industry, but they eventually do want to go back and do their BCom accounting, and they just want to know, Guti, are there any certificates, graduate programs, or short courses that they can do in the interim? I would definitely recommend a good Excel course. I mean, we make use of Excel a lot. Computing a lot, so I definitely encourage that, and also keeping abreast with everything that's happening around us. I mean, with 4IR, just doing a bit of research, making sure you're aware of what's happening and what that could potentially, the impact that could potentially have on our industry. And I know Udemy, Get Smart, some of the places where you can go to enroll for some short courses, but I do want you to understand that those short courses will primarily be for you and your own development and your own knowledge, but it won't necessarily contribute or fast pace you qualifying as a CA, but it does contribute to your well-roundedness, if that makes sense. How can you move from a job that you're not meant to be working at to being within your field of study? I think the most important thing is for you to keep yourself constantly aware of any opportunities that come up within your field of study. Make sure that you network as well. And another thing is to make sure ukuthi iskill sakho in your field of study, you are constantly making sure that you're keeping abreast with any changes that are happening within it. And if you can do that, it would really work in your favor. And also considering the fact that you're currently working, so you do have some job experience, so it's just a matter of putting yourself out there, getting yourself out there, speaking to the right people. And even when you don't know who the right people are, is to connect on Instagram like this, connect on socials and say, hey, you know what, this is what I want to get into, this is what I studied, are you aware of any opportunities? I'm willing to share. There's could be people in my network who could be able to assist you. And yeah, good luck. I am an engineering student and I want to try business analyst. Please advise. I think the first thing you need to ask yourself is, why do you want to do a business analyst qualification? Are you doing it in conjunction with your engineering degree? Do you want to move into the business aspect of engineering? And if that's the case, then I would definitely encourage you to go for it. It's just really understanding how it's going to work for you, and if you really are also passionate about engineering, how you can merge the two and how you can get the both of it to work for you. But if it's a complete career move from engineering to business analyst, I would really encourage you to speak to a qualified career coach who can really advise you and give you a better way. I'm starting to lose interest in building a career, any motivation. I think I went through a similar experience when I felt as if the career that I'm in or what I was doing wasn't necessarily fueling me. I didn't have that passion, that thing, that it just wasn't driving me anymore. And I really wanted motivation, and I was like, but there's really nothing driving me. And I always say to myself that a career is not set in stone. Sometimes you can have a plan and you say, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to be. And sometimes life leads you on a different journey. And I think it's important to appreciate that it's an ever-changing and it's a constant journey. And you shouldn't be afraid to take the risk of changing and take the risk of trying something else and trying something new. We don't always have it figured out, and we're not always going to have it figured out by the time when we think that, no, I should have it all together. But yeah, it's a tough one, but it requires you to go after something that sets your soul on. And the last question was, how do you differentiate yourself from other CAs? I always say to myself that I want to be a professional with a purpose. I want to use my journey, I want to use my platforms to motivate and to encourage abanye abantu. But above all else, I want to show the young black female